the Patriots are in this new era, and part of why they're in this new era is because not only do they have the new head coach in Mike Vrabel, but they've also got a top 5 draft pick. Yes, coulda, woulda, shoulda been number one, should have been number one. And they also have all this money, 120, 130 million, whatever the figure is in cap space to go out and spend this year. And if you want to take one silver lining, I guess, from this season, again, one of the things you didn't succeed in, but is a silver lining, is that from all reports, it seems like the Patriots were ready to spend that money. Brandon Ayuk, now T. Higgins is going to be the talk, that they are willing to put a ton of money out there. And there are going to be some free agents out there that can absolutely fill the Patriots' needs. Ronnie Stanley from Baltimore, the tackle, is going to go to market here. And he's got a bit of an injury history, but if you're willing to splash all that cash at a wide receiver, a number 2 wide receiver, imagine what you would spend looking at this team, what you would spend on a number 1 left tackle. Okay? That is going to be a potentially huge payday for Ronnie Stanley, who's the biggest tackle free agent on the market and seems like he is going to go to market. And then you talk about the T. Higgins discussion again. And Stephon Diggs is going to be a free agent. You know, a guy who his best years are behind him, sure, but still has proven to be a productive receiver. And you know, with the receiver position in general, there are going to be guys that become available in the offseason. It's just the nature of the position. These guys get fed up and they magically become available. But looking at what the Patriots could do next year, I think it's a lot to say that they're going to make the playoffs next year. But there are 2 teams I looked at from this season, 2024, that give me hope towards that. Because I went back and I looked to see the over-under totals projections for wins for NFL teams going into this year. And the 2 teams at the bottom with 4.5 on the over-under were the New England Patriots and the Denver Broncos. One of those teams won 4 games. Another one of those teams made the playoffs for the first time in a decade. And they were both ushering in new quarterbacks, rookie quarterbacks. Drake Maye was picked, however many spots ahead of Bo Nix, 10 spots ahead, 9 spots ahead, whatever it was. And had a lot more hype going into this season, but you did know it was going to take some time to get him out there on the field. And I think Drake Maye has more upside than Bo Nix. I really do. But Bo Nix leads them to the playoffs, year 1. This was a team in flux. They had to cut bait with one of the biggest free agent signings in their history in Russell Wilson, and it looked like an absolute disaster. And here comes Bo Nix, the man they used to call Bo Picks in college, and he leads them to the playoffs. I keep looking at this list. Patriots and Broncos at 4.5, just barely ahead of them at 6.5 wins. A team with the same record as the Patriots last year at 4-13. The Washington Commanders. Another team with low expectations that's ushering in a rookie quarterback in a tough division. And lo and behold, the Washington Commanders are in the divisional round. They're winning a playoff game for the first time in almost 20 years. And they had similar expectations to the Patriots coming into this year. First-year head coach, rookie quarterback, and there they are playing this weekend. And the Patriots are stuck with their thumb up their butt, seeing who they're going to pick in the top 5 in the draft. Washington, did they have a ton of pieces in place? No. They had the same team that the Patriots did last year. Of course, they beat the Patriots in Foxborough, but they had Sam Howell at quarterback. They had a good receiver in Terry McLaurin, who had never played for a good quarterback in his life. And Jaden Daniels becomes a revelation. Looks awesome as a rookie. Drake Maye also looked awesome as a rookie. The thing with Washington is they had some cap space, and they went out and they got some guys. Were they, young? Not necessarily. Impact? Still, yeah. Yes. Like, they went out and they got veterans, a bunch of cowboys for Dan Quinn, but they got veteran players who are proven in this league. Dorrance Armstrong, Tyler Biotish, Austin Eckler, Bobby Wagner, who's going to be in the Hall of Fame. Man, Dante Fowler Jr. They even a backup like Mariota who needs to fill in for a game or two. Zach Ertz. They bring in all these guys and they contribute to the team right away. And now you are helping out this young quarterback with a new coach who has kind of been there and done that. So that's different from Gerard Mayo, but not different from Mike Vrabel, right? He's been there and done that. Dan Quinn had coached in a Super Bowl. We all remember that. And then he's a pretty successful coordinator with Dallas. Now Mike Vrabel, pretty successful head coach, takes he's got another couple of coordinator jobs before that, and obviously the consultant job after that. Like, their resumes are not too much different. Outside of that year and that the Falcons went to the Super Bowl, like, basically he had one more win than Vrabel. Vrabel got to an AFC Championship game. So you look at the leap that Washington took this past year, and you have to wonder, is that so crazy for the Patriots to do? I saw a tweet, I think it was Andrew Callahan was talking about that on Twitter of like, hey, it's not that crazy. It would be pretty surprising considering the roster that the Patriots have right now. But the roster that the Patriots have right now should be grossly different from the roster the Patriots have when they hit training camp. And Jaden Daniels was obviously came out of the blocks on fire. But then again, with what we saw for Drake Maye the last, whatever it was, 10 weeks of the season, there's no reason to believe he can't have a year like that next year, that he can't carry his team a little bit. And hopefully you can get someone of Terry McLaurin's ilk in free agency. You're probably going to have to throw a bag at him. And it's probably T. Higgins. But at this point, I would look at a potential Brandon Ayuk deal from this past year and now T. Higgins and come up with some things that I don't like about it. And there's plenty of stories around the league of these guys who are the number 2 receiver or number 2 at any one of their positions, and they try to make that leap and get that number 1 money and be that number 1 guy, and they can't be that number 1 guy. There's plenty of examples through time around the league that has happened. And that would be something I'd be wary of at a position like wide receiver, to give that kind of money, that kind of cap space to a guy who is not proven to be that number 1 guy before, especially when you think you have a talented quarterback. But that said, when you are where the Patriots are, you can't be too picky. This is not unlike 2021, where you said with the Patriots, you know what? You got to spend money. You're probably going to have to overpay for some guys, but you got to spend money. And it worked. They got to the playoffs, man. They were the number 1 seed in the beginning of December, which doesn't count for anything, but they had a pretty good year. And they brought in, Matthew Judon and Devon Godshaw and Hunter Henry and Jonnu Smith and Devontae Parker or was it Aguilar? Not all of them worked, obviously. Some of them really failed miserably, but you improved your team in one offseason. You improved it dramatically, actually. It was only by 3 wins, I guess, from the 7-9 COVID Cam Newton team to the 10-7 Mac Jones rookie team. But that team in 21 was much more competent, much, much, much more competent. And so that's part of this. You've got to draft well. You've got to have the right coach in there, but you've also got to be willing to spend the money. And this is where Elliott Wolf is going to kind of sing for his supper here. All right. Like I don't think year 1 was good. I think you can make an argument that it's tough to judge a GM off 1 year with a situation like this, but I think he made one good move the whole season, and the rest of that draft, obviously Drake Maye, outside of that, the rest of that draft is horrible. You didn't draft one impact player. You didn't draft one guy who could positively impact this team, which was the worst in football until the final day of the season. You couldn't draft one rookie who could participate in that team. You got Jalen Polk in the second round, who was literally 133rd out of 133 receivers in his PFF rank. Horrible, worst in the league. You drafted that guy with what? The second, third pick in the second round? I think that's damning. And I don't think we know what is inside the resume of Elliott Wolf. His first, dozen years working in the league or for the Packers, which is a great to have on your resume. But when you look at the last name, it's like, oh, yeah, your dad was the Hall of Fame GM of the Packers. Oh, okay, I get it. Your dad. Got it. Like, I don't know who comes in and is like, oh, well, this is the guy. This is the guy that should be running the organization. But certainly there should be questions around Elliott Wolf even after year one. I would have really pushed for Mike Borgonzi, the assistant for the Chiefs, who is a New England guy and has Patriots ties as well. But that's neither here nor there. You bring in Cowden, a guy that Vrabel really likes, and we'll see who's making the decisions here. But with this kind of cap space and the draft picks that you have, because there are a lot of ways for the Patriots to get a couple first-round picks this year. There are plenty of ways they can draft into the first round, trade back. There's all kinds of ways they can have a couple picks in the first round. When you have those kinds of luxuries, I don't think it's crazy to say you can challenge for a playoff spot, that you can be in the mix until December.
We are Rogue Media Sports.
Hey, thanks for stopping by. And if you like this video, be sure to give us a like and subscribe. It really helps out the channel a ton. You can follow me on Twitter here for some more outrageous Boston sports takes coming to you every weekday at noon Eastern time. And then after that, wherever you get your podcasts.
We are Rogue Media Sports.